Hello, Jamieson-Folland beaming in from a beautiful posse here in New Zealand with one of my favourite new hats, which was an acquisition from Las Vegas. Look at that glinting. Trust it doesn't blind you too much as I'm speaking. It's certainly helping me because it's very bright. So it's going to be lots of hats, but as you know, I love them. So my question for you today and this week to ponder on is, are you in your zone of genius? So what on earth does that mean? Well, I'm rereading a fabulous book on recommendation from Helen, my sister. Thank you for that. Super top tip. By a gentleman called Gay Hendricks, called The Big Leap. I highly recommend it. And excuse me having my hand here, but it's a little bit blustery at times, so I want to make sure you can hear me. So, The Big Leap. And so Gay, in his book, talks about 4 places that basically we're operating from, that we're living in. Either our zone of incompetence, or our zone of competence, our zone of excellence, and our zone of genius. And most of us are in the first 3, because it can actually be pretty uncomfortable for a variety of reasons to be in the 4th one, in our zone of genius. And so it's definitely worth a read to explore a little bit more about what he means by that. In the meantime, if we look at the concept itself, what I realized for myself is that I was definitely operating more, or living more, in my kind of zone of competence with excellence, in terms of things that I knew I could do well, and they kind of become a little bit familiar. And in terms of the areas of competence or even incompetence, I realized that I was still doing things like doing the gardening and the cleaning and cleaning the car. This was quite a few years ago now. Anyway, that's where I found myself. And what I realized was that was really not the best use of my time. There was the things I certainly didn't enjoy, and they weren't things that were allowing me to really be adding and offering my best, highest value in terms of the best way for me to be serving in the world and my passions. And so what I did was I found someone who I could do the gardening, the bits that I didn't want to do. And so I could potter around and pick and harvest. That's what I enjoy doing, and figure out which kind of smoothies and juices and what kind of creations I'm going to put together as we plan the meals for the week. And even then, it was super valuable. It's been super valuable to have someone else who I can work with to create our meals and smoothies, etc. And also somebody to clean the car. I remember that very clearly, and I kind of worked through the process of realizing, well, how about chatting with the local school, because there may be one of the kids there who wants to, who's careful. It needs to be the right pick and the right person. It's someone who wants to earn a bit of pocket money and be able to come and clean my car, which would be magic. And so that's exactly what I did, and it worked out beautifully, because there's a really lovely young man who came and cleaned both our cars, myself and Chris's. Did a great job, and it meant that he had pocket money to save up for some of the sports events that he wanted to be able to do. So it was a big win-win. And that meant that it freed up my time and my energy, so I could be focusing more in areas of my genius. And that, being in our genius means, those times when time is just, it disappears. It's kind of like it expands into, time expands so that it becomes infinite, and we have more than enough time. And what I really appreciate about what Gay talks about in terms of the concept of time is that he refers to Einstein's concept of time, which is that it's basically something we've made up. It doesn't exist. So I really recommend that you have a read, and in the meantime have a ponder on in which areas are you kind of pottering along, living in your comfort zone, operating from your areas of competence and even excellence, and what is it that you could have someone else, give it to someone else to do, so that you make their day and you certainly expand your life. I'd love to hear from you. And in the meantime, I look forward to seeing you on this week's Alive with Fee, and have a beautiful one. Ciao from a very beautiful Okura. You can probably hear the cicadas having a right royal time in the background. Ciao for now.